This weekend just passed, shooting took place in Glasgow for the new Batman film. Over the past 10 years, Glasgow has hosted a number of high-profile productions. But why has the city been such a popular filming location? And what effect has this had on the people who live in Glasgow? That's what we're going to take a look at in today's episode of... So welcome to another episode of Gouchard, YouTube's first and only channel about film history. Today I'm going to be focusing once more on my hometown of Glasgow. If you'd like to find out more about the city's unique contribution to film culture, please check out my other videos on the Glasgow Film Festival and the much missed DVD retailer FOP. But the focus of this episode is not so much what Glasgow has given the world of film, but what the world of film has taken from the city. And if you've taken anything from this video, please ring the bell. Ring it! And subscribe to the channel. I upload new content on a weekly basis unless I'm on holiday, or sick, or locked out of my flat, or shivering to death in a ditch. Now, many of you will already have seen the trailer for Warner Brothers' new Batman film, starring my boy here, Robert Pattinson. It doesn't give away much about the film itself, but there are one or two things we know about the production. From Friday 21st to Sunday 23rd of February, scenes were filmed in and around the Cathedral Square area of Glasgow, home to both the imposing cathedral and TripAdvisor's #1 goth tourist destination, the Necropolis. Those are suitably dramatic locations for a Batman film, but it's not as if Glasgow is the only city in the world offering that kind of architecture. Christopher Nolan shot his Batman films in the south of England and the United States, while Tim Burton rarely ventured out of the studios for his entries in the franchise. So why is Glasgow so appealing as a filming location? Good question. To answer it, let's begin by looking at the history of Glasgow on film. Scotland has had a film industry of sorts since the 1890s, when short documentary subjects, including the Braemar Gathering, were shot and exhibited for audiences in the two regions, Tuchterland and Glasgow. Glaswegians, more so than their countrymen and women, were mad about film. During the 1930s, they had the choice of over 110 cinemas, a higher number per head than London, Paris, New York, Los Angeles, and anywhere else in the world. Glasgow was also a centre for production companies, film archives, and even the first amateur film festival in the UK. Up until the 1970s, the majority of films produced in Glasgow were documentaries for commercial purposes.
Here the sons of Glasgow build their mighty ships, and from here they go down to the sea in them to bring home the rich harvest of the earth.
That started to change very slowly with films for television like Just Another Saturday, and then the comedies of Bill Forsyth. By the 1990s, Scotland was hitting outside its weight, with critically acclaimed films like Trainspotting and My Name is Joe showing off Glasgow in all its grimy, gloomy glory. More important than any one film, however, was the establishment of the Glasgow Film Office in 1997. The decline of traditional industries in Glasgow
These were men with trade.
was the pretext to the creation of the Film Office. It opened up a new source of income for the city by facilitating the needs of outside production companies, and it's done so with some success. Since 1997, the office has generated a reported £19 million for the local economy off the back of several huge films, including 1917, Hobbs and Shaw, Cloud Atlas, and, most notoriously, 2011's World War Z. When that production arrived in Glasgow, George Square was transformed into downtown Philadelphia. Many Scottish viewers were baffled by the resulting sequence in the film, which amounted to a barely comprehensible 6 minutes of footage. Was it really necessary to lug all that equipment, all those cast and crew members, and a small fleet of yellow taxis over 5,000 miles from LA, when Philadelphia itself was only 2,700 miles from Paramount's headquarters? Could anything really justify that immense cost and, indeed, environmental devastation? Any sensible person would say no. The Glasgow Film Office would say yes, pointing to the city's creative talent, numerous post-production facilities, and wide variety of attractive filming locations. What they don't say, anywhere on their website, is anything about the tax incentives offered to any film that qualifies as a British co-production. That's an interesting omission because it's undoubtedly the main reason why Glasgow and other parts of Scotland have become attractive to American studios. As long as their productions pass a cultural test administered by the British Film Institute, they can qualify for tax relief on up to 100% of the film's budget spent in the UK. Unsurprisingly, that test has grown more flexible in recent years. The glowing praise for Glasgow on the Film Office website flatters to deceive. The big draw for Hollywood studios is how cheap it is to film here. But it's still kinda cool to have them on our doorstep, right? In the next few days, we're likely to see photos from the Glasgow set of The Batman. They'll give us a sense of the film, but they'll also give us a hint of the logistical complexities of shooting a major motion picture in a big city. Crowds need to be managed, visual effects need to be handled safely, and most importantly, roads need to be diverted. Those are all necessary aspects for the smooth functioning of a shoot. But for jock public trying to get to or from work, it can add up to an absolute bloody nightmare.
Disgusting!
A case in point was the filming of Hobbs and Shaw in 2018. To accommodate the production, motorists in the city centre were diverted onto a bus lane, something which they'd ordinarily be fined for. Now in this instance, you'd expect the council to plan ahead for the influx of cars onto the lane and relax the usual charges. But this being Glasgow City Council, one of the most consistently inept in the country, traffic cameras remained operational throughout the shoot, with the result that over 800 drivers were issued tickets for a diversion they were forced to use. The council ultimately cancelled the tickets, but for many Glaswegians, it was a reminder that the real beneficiaries of the film boom lived thousands of miles away from the city itself. And as the investigative website The Ferret reported in the aftermath of the shoot, over a span of 5 years, the council was paid a meagre £35,000 by the various production companies that used the city. One look at the box office for Hobbs and Shaw should reveal the grotesque imbalance here. At a time when the council is considering the closure of iconic public spaces, we have to ask the question, who does the Glasgow Film Office really benefit? Is it those kept safely to the side of the camera, or the people in front and behind it? But I just want DC Studios to know that if they need a location for reshoots, my flat is available. I'd say there's space for about 10 to 15 members of cast and crew. 17 if you all held your breath. And you'd have full use of my microwave and one slot in the toaster that still works. Unfortunately, the toilet is a bit of a work in progress, but I can also offer you somewhere to sleep. You're welcome to take the sofa. I can take the inflatable pillow and lie in the bathtub. My only condition, and it's not a big one, is that Gouchard gets a reference in the credits, the opening credits, before the Warner Brothers logo. So Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson, if you're at all interested in my offer, DM me at any of the links below. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Just leave a comment, in fact, under this video. That's totally fine. Totally fine. And as for the rest of you, like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. And I'll see you next week. Unless I get that call. What? That's the end of the video. Bye!